If you're seeing my face and hearing my voice, that means it's another episode of the Tunes and Tales podcast. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the podcast. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you if you're, following the episodes, you're on this journey with us. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for following the podcast. If you're new, I always say if you're new, you did it by accident, you clicked on it to check it out, or you were looking for another podcast, or, you don't know what the hell's going on here. Appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for checking us out. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching and all that jazz. So this week on the episode, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I start, let's do the notes as usual. So if you want to follow us on social media and support the podcast and just stay on top of everything we're doing, all the weekly releases, everything else we do on the side for the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and that is at tunesandtalespod. You'll see it right here. Next, we got Facebook at Tunes and Tales Podcast. Next, we have Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. That we have it at Tunes and Tales. So it's Tunes, capital N, Tales. And then you can follow us on, if you're listening, you want to see the episodes, we have it on YouTube as well. What else we got? For all the people watching and you want somewhere to listen to the podcast on the go when you're driving to work, coming home, when you're at work, you're doing chores, you're at the airport. I'm going on a trip next month too, so I'm excited. When you're at the airport, if you want to listen to the podcast, you can check us out on all major podcast platforms. So that is Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, Google, you name it, we're there. So you can check us out right below. Also, if you hear today's episode or watch today's episode and you want to share a song and story, you could message us on social media, but you could also email us at tunesandtalespod@gmail.com. Also, if you just have any questions you want to submit to the podcast, send it to the email. No big deal. All right, that's it for notes. Today on the podcast, we have a friend of mine. His name is CJ. He is a bad mother. Shut your mouth. He does Taekwondo. He does Jiu Jitsu. And today's episode, we kind of go into that and another aspect of his life that his song and memory is about. So everybody, welcome to the podcast, CJ. All right, you want to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it. So I was in middle school, and I had never been skating before. It was a school trip, and they were like, "Yo, we're going to Chez-Vous." But most people, well, if they're from Boston, then they know Chez-Vous is like the hood spot for skating. And if you've never been to Chez-Vous, then you're not really from Boston type vibe.
Yeah.
And I had never gone yet, so I was dumb excited, never skated, didn't know what it was going to be like. I walked in there, and it was pretty much empty. The school rented it out. It was a smooth process getting the skates. Of course, I get on the skates and I don't know what I'm doing. But because everybody there was kind of just lit, having fun, enjoying themselves, it made it fun for me too. I didn't mind going around, falling, holding on to the pole, trying, to figure it out.
Right.
Had the girls there, the cute shorties was there, so that was dope. And that was like one of the first times too where I went to a 7-day Adventist school. And that was one of the first times, Berea SD Academy. So,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it was one of the first times that we actually did something that I felt was not super like Christian based in a sense, because of the music that they let play. Like,
so they wasn't playing church music.
Yeah, you feel me? Yeah, exactly. So we got to go out there and really let loose in our culture. Yeah. So we're out there, we're skating and whatnot. The girls is out there skating. We're just having fun, and it was a dope time, a great introduction to my first time skating. So Yeah, that's pretty much the story right there.
Oh, that's dope. All right, so we're gonna like branch out a little. We're not gonna talk just about skating, but we're gonna branch out into your life and stuff. Um, but on the topic of skating, like, do you remember learning to skate?
Yeah, I mean, I learned how to skate just by trial and error, really.
Like nobody showed you?
Yeah, I mean, someone showed, you know what I mean? Like someone showed me, but it wasn't classes.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say I got up there and just put on the skates and like got to it. You feel me? Definitely
Yeah.
not. I had to ask people like what I do, but no one like step by step. Like this is what you do. Come in here, practice. It was just like, all right. Every time I went skating, I just tried to get a little bit better, getting the little bits and nuggets that I had. So, of course, like the first time you skate, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to walk and you're falling, you just look
Right.
crazy, bro.
Yeah.
And then eventually I started to get the balance a little bit. And then I ended up learning how to like actually move on the skates. Cause basically when you're in skates, you think you're supposed to move as if you're walking on the floor. Like
Right.
one foot forward, next foot forward. But in reality, you're supposed to use the bottom of the skates, like the sole of the skate, the
Hmm.
part that's on your foot, as a board, and essentially your foot is kind of pushing out
Right.
as you're moving forward, and that's what kind of helps get the skate going.
Because
Def, go ahead. Yep.
because I till this day I don't know how to skate to save my fucking life. And the reason why
Oh,
I asked about you learning to skate is because I remember the first memory, and this is like a lot. Like this is when I lived in Jamaica, like long fucking time ago. As a kid, my dad took me, my cousins, and my sister to this outdoor skating rink thing.
yeah,
And so like there's the big outer circle where all the people who know how to skate go skate, and there's like the inner circle for like the kids and people who don't know how to skate.
yeah.
So I'm in the inner circle and I'm holding on to the rail and I'm like holding on for dear life because my foot's like you're doing that little skittle, that little like squirrel thing, and I slip and fall and my foot pushes out into the bigger ring. And some guy that was skating like trip and he went fucking flying, dude. Like
Oh, damn.
flying like into the wall. And I felt so bad. But the scary part is as a kid, when that happened, it was just me in that circle at the moment, and just the fear I remember feeling is like this dude is gonna murder me. Like, you know what I mean? So that's not like that's the memory. That's why I asked like what did you learn to skate? Like kind of triggered that memory. But yeah.
Now we definitely, I feel that, bro. Those are definitely the scary moments, falling in the skating ring. You know what I mean? And especially when you get older too, and you start going to like the adult events where you really get people who know how to skate that like
And they're
are
doing the tricks
jumping
and
and you
shit.
feel me, yeah, like dancing and all that, bro. You feel me? Like that's one of the most embarrassing things. That doesn't change at all. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, like
that's real. That's
you
real.
fall, you got to get up quick. Make sure you
That's
feel me,
real.
act like nothing happened.
So, um, so was that the? I don't know if you said it, but was that the when you went to Chez-Vous for your school? Was that the first time you went to like an outdoor skating related?
Yeah, so it was indoor, but that was the first
Right.
time I
Sorry,
just
indoor.
went
Okay.
roller skating like
Hmm.
ever. That's the first time.
So
Um,
ever after that, do you have any other skating like? Were you just like skating all the time, or like every once in a
nah.
while, or?
So I started now. I started skating a lot more, but after that, it was just kind of like piece by piece. You know, like maybe like a friend had a party or something like that, and it was skating, or maybe once in a while my family just went out. We went skating, but it was nothing ever that I like did super consistently. You know, it
So it
wasn't
wasn't
like
like a
that.
hobby or like.
Yeah, it wasn't like a
Got you.
hobby. It was
Got you.
just like,
Got you.
yo, I like skating once in a while, you know?
Right. This makes sense. This makes sense. All right. So you mentioned earlier you went to a 7 Day Adventist school.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not as religious as I once was, but I grew up a 7 Day Adventist. But I've
Yep.
never heard of a 7 Day Adventist school. So what was the difference? Like is it like Catholic school or like?
Essentially, it's very similar to
Mhm.
Catholic school. We had to wear a uniform, you know what I mean? We study the Bible. We have classes related to our religion. Um, but I feel like other than that, it was pretty much regularly the same, you know? We did prayers as a group, in the large assembly hall, things like that. And it's just more of an expectation of like having high moral values and acting disciplined and things of that sort.
Mhm.
but I don't think it was anything too crazy. Like we still got wild in the school, of course, because like you're kids,
Right.
you know what I mean. So
So was it like
you know
it
how
was?
that gets, like.
Uh-huh.
But it was really just kind of one of our core principles and like one of our main educational expectations was learning about the Bible and learning about God and our religion. And because of that, it came off a little bit more, I guess, like safe, familial, and just more expectations that, they're raising good people to go out into the world.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I didn't feel like overall it was much different from like a Catholic school, obviously, because it's religious, but any other school other than that, yeah, we learn about our religion, So
Right. So it's just
yeah,
on top of the regular coursework. Is just the religion.
yeah,
Now, was there, the stereotypical Catholic church, I guess stereotypes is, the strict mean teachers or principal or
yeah.
headmaster or whatever. Was there anything similar to that in terms of
Nah,
like?
we wasn't getting hit with
I was trying to be around the bush about
I
it. I was like,
Nah, I did have a couple teachers that were annoying. You feel me? But
right.
it wasn't that crazy. It wasn't that crazy.
Right.
But I do think in and maybe this was just kind of like the times. We grew up in the late '90s, early 2000s, so there was still a lot more expectation on teachers to discipline more, or they had that leeway to discipline more. So your teacher was like, "Yo, sit down and I'm gonna deal with you." They weren't putting their hands on you, but
Right.
it was a lot more than like nobody was talking crazy to their teacher back then. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
No.
discipline was like, "Yo, go stand in the corner. You're gonna hold a book over your head for like 30 minutes," and you had to go do that.
So what's funny, right? You just remind me. So when I moved to like officially, so I moved to America 2 different times. The first time as a little kid, and I went
um,
back because I moved there in the winter. I fucking hated it. Like it's just like a traumatic, like till this day, it's a traumatic event, right? So my mom sent me back. Years later, I officially moved here. Like, all right, I'm living here now. And I remember the first time when I moved there, I noticed the difference in discipline because
mhm.
the idea of not hitting kids was like it's not a thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like we be
yeah.
getting straight up like assaulted by teachers in Jamaica. like I remember in the I was fifth or fourth grade in Jamaica. Like there's this teacher. Shout out Miss McKenzie. I don't know where she is in the world. Like she was really strict, but she was so good like at teaching and getting information across. But I remember she whooped the whole like I said, every student in the class, like she beat their ass like with a belt because none of us could spell February. So when I moved here and the idea is like, oh, we don't hit, we do like the timeout, like you said, the book over the head.
Right,
And it's like,
right.
I'm like, what kind of childish shit is, you know what I mean? It's like just the trauma in me. It's just like, kind of soft
I'm
shit
about
is
to get
this?
away with murder out here.
Bruh. But yeah, so that. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Um, I did a little bit of research. So you do fighting,
Yep.
or
Yep.
is it jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
taekwondo? Or, all right,
Hmm.
so how did you even get into that? Because that whole world fascinates me, bro.
Yeah. So jujitsu, I started 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and one of the jobs I worked at that time, there was this dude who was talking about some martial arts organization or business that was like basically in the hood. Because
Right.
I live in Dorchester, and it's literally around the corner from my spot,
Hmm.
and that was the first time I heard of it. Then I was reading a book, and it was by this guy who is a martial artist, and he's a mentor for like young men and their fathers.
Hmm.
And he's done pretty much a ton of different martial arts from like karate, taekwondo, all that. And then the book, he just kept saying like jujitsu was the one that he rocks with the most, and he felt like did the most for him. So one day, mind you, I forgot about the guy who mentioned the BJJ stuff.
Hmm.
And one day I was just walking from the crib or to the crib, and I realized that that spot was literally right. Like I looked up and I was like, "Yo, what is this?" And it was literally the spot that the guy was talking about. I was like,
Oh
"Oh, this is
wow.
what he's saying."
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
So once I saw it, I was just like, "Yo, I'm gonna come in here and try it."
Oh,
And I
just like
went
that.
in.
There wasn't any reservations. It's just like I'm gonna go ahead
Yeah,
and
I
do
was
it.
just like, I'm gonna just try it.
Oh,
You
I
feel
like
me?
that. I like
Like,
that. Yeah.
why not? So And we're gonna talk about it, bro. Because yeah,
Okay, got you.
yeah. Uh, I feel like I know where you're going with this, and I feel you.
Yeah.
So I went, and I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's very humbling experience. It's not like boxing or striking martial arts where you kind of have a fighter's chance or puncher's chance. You go in there, bro, and you get roughed up. Like dudes will like real like you get stuck, bro. You know that feeling of like when you're fighting somebody
Mm-hmm.
and they literally control you and like all your adrenaline is just
Yeah,
like
it's just
like
zaps
you're
the
like,
energy out of
you know,
you.
like, are you calm down now? And
Yeah.
all you can say
It's
is
like when they it's when the bigger person just sits on you, be like, all right, you done? You know what I mean?
yeah, bro. Yeah, you know, and that's what happened. But it was also very like it's a sport that takes a lot of thinking and discipline and patience because it's very technical. And that's the other thing that I really appreciated about it is that you're wrestling and you are trying to scramble and be strong and be explosive. You feel me? And like handle this other person,
Mm-hmm.
but unless you're extremely strong, which at the end of the day, like strength, you know what I mean? Like if you're really strong, that is
Like
a
OP
superpower.
strong, right?
Yeah, you feel me?
Yeah.
Like you can kind of get yourself out of situations, but when you're not, bro, it's like you're stuck, and that fascinated me. And it's a great workout and all this other stuff. So I just really got into the idea of like learning how to study, really being able to work and figure out the techniques and all the ways that you could really just manipulate the body, bro. It's
Right.
like I've been doing it 2 years now, and obviously, like first of all, the way you get your belts is crazy. It takes over 10 years to get a black belt, over 20 years to get a
Okay,
black belt.
that's what I was
In
gonna
some
lean to.
cases.
So kind of break down the belt system for me. Like
Yeah,
the how many, like the how many, like how long it takes, or is it like a because I have let me back up before I get into it.
yeah,
The
yeah. Go
only
ahead.
knowledge I have of jiu-jitsu is listening to Joe Rogan podcast. So when he talks about it or he has like fighters on who has that background, like I'll hear about it. But I
Mhm.
have apart from that, I have no idea how it works. So like kind of break down the belt system for me.
Yeah. So the belt system is it's white to black,
Okay.
and it's about 5 belts. It's a white belt, then you go blue belt, then you go purple belt, brown belt,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go black belt.
Gotcha.
Um, in general, the belt system, it's not necessarily based on years. It's based on your ability to apply technique.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for people who compete, how much you're winning in some cases. So it really varies. Like in a really weird anomaly, or some cases, there's people who've gone from like white belt to purple belt in like a year and a half, 2 years.
Mm.
But you also have to understand that they're probably competing. They probably do this every day. They might even be teaching, so they're working out. Let's say they have 3 days. They start in the morning. They train in the morning, they might teach throughout the day, and then they're training again like twice at night, right? So their ability to learn and then apply technique is greatly increased, and then they might be winning tournaments, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So that increases it. But if you're someone who might be going like once a week, not really learning the techniques, not able to apply them, it can take a lot
A
longer,
long
you know?
time.
So it really
Okay.
just depends on the person, but it's very rare that you find someone who goes from like white belt to black belt within a year, 2 year, 5 years, you know what I mean? So it's really based on your application. Generally speaking, though, to go from white belt to black belt is going to take a number of years.
Okay.
Um, I'm not an expert, so I can't really say what that
Right.
average year is, but
Right.
expect to put some time in it. What I've learned so far in my time is that this is definitely something that's a lifelong sport. It takes a lot. I'm still learning something new. When we do our sparring, it's called rolls.
Mm-hmm.
When you roll with like, or when I roll with like my sensei, there's always something else, some extra card he's pulling out. You feel me? Where it's like, I think I'm solid here, and then next thing I'm tapping out because of
Mm.
something that came out of nowhere that I wasn't expecting. So
Okay.
it's definitely something that takes a long time.
Now, as far as the competitive side to it, do you struggle with tapping out, or are you the type of person the second you know, like, all right, that's it, I'm getting, like, like,
It depends on what it is. Um,
because I feel like, sorry to cut you off, but because I feel
you're good.
like for some people it's like ego driven, like, nah, I can't. I can't top out, like I can't look like a whatever weak or whatever they think
Yep.
they look like. So what is it like? What is it for you?
I'm really glad you said that because it really is ego a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I said earlier it kind of humbles you. For me, I definitely try my best not to tap out. But if I know that I got, I'm not risking it. So, for example, if someone gets me in an arm bar, and when
Right.
they get me, like I'm not gonna let's say they got the arm bar about like 80%, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
have a 20% chance of getting my arm out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna fight and try and get out of there before they get it to 100%.
Right.
Now, let's say they get it 100%, right? Or maybe like 95%. And it's like, yo, I could tap right here.
Being gonna fuck
I'm
some
gonna
shit up.
try and say like wiggle my arm out. You know what I mean? Like turn, change the angle a little bit, make it difficult for them.
Right.
But once I feel that they have that locked in,
Mm-hmm.
I'm tapping.
They got
Like
that.
that's just is what it is. I'm not risking breaking my arm or whatever. But if it's like a guillotine,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going until I feel like, oh shit, I really
It's about
cannot
to
breathe.
snap.
Yeah,
Right.
like I'm about to pass out, tap. And I
Right.
just feel like, especially for competitions, like you never know where that person's at. You never know how tired they are. You don't know how long their grip strength is. So I'm gonna try and give myself the longest chance possible that I can.
I respect
But if
that.
someone gets me, you got me. Whether it's sparring or competitions, I'll let you know. Like good shit. Like it is what it is. Like
Right.
I tried my best. You
Right.
got me. Um, so yeah, that's what it is. Real quick, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to grab a charger. My battery just
No,
died.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
You're good.
give me 1 second. Yep. All right, bro. I'm good.
You good? All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Shit, I forgot my. Oh no, I do remember my question. All right, so I was gonna ask. As far as competing, how often do you compete, and what's that like? Because obviously, I feel like sparring or rolling with people, like people that go to the same. Is it a gym or dojo? What do you guys call it?
Yeah, it's gym, dojo, whichever one you feel
Doesn't
like
matter.
calling it.
Okay,
I call it
so
dojo. But I
okay, so
call
when
other
you
people
when
watch
you
gym.
roll with people at your gym, uh, I feel like it's obviously a different level than competing with somebody you're not familiar with, maybe, or like from a different gym or whatever. So how is competing?
Yeah, competing it's fun, but it's definitely like 10 times intense
Mm-hmm.
than sparring. Even when you're rolling with your guys at your gym, you do like you roll intense, but if you're going 100% at your gym, it literally feels like 110% at an actual match or in an actual match. My first match, I remember one of my boys from the gym telling me, yo, be careful of your grips because they're going to burn out. And I understood what he was saying. I was like, okay, that's definitely a possibility, but I didn't think it was going to happen my first match. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was going to happen like how it did. So my first match, we go, I get my grips, and we fight, whatever. I end up winning it. When I was done, bro, I felt like just finished rock climbing for like an hour and a
Can't
half.
feel shit.
Like I swear to you, bro, I had to go on the sideline, wait for my next match. And
Uh-huh.
like I had one of my boys massaging this forearm here and the
Yeah.
other one massaging that forearm there because like the adrenaline is pumping so much that you think, oh, I'm good, but or you're not going. You can feel that you're going hard. You just think you have the ability to last longer, but then you realize that you guys are both at 110%, and you can't really let up, especially when you're very early on. You haven't competed a lot.
All right.
You can't really let up because the moment you go down to 100, 105%, that extra 5, 10% that person is putting in could make the difference in you losing position. And now you got to fight out of a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough. But I will say that as you continue to fight, you do learn how to control that adrenaline. It goes down a little bit. You get a lot more familiar. So by my second and third competition, I could drastically feel the difference in my grip strength, my application of how much pressure I'm applying, and just kind of going all out. So it does go down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but it's always there. It's always there.
Word. So when you've, because I'm like, sorry, I got mad questions for you. I was like
You good,
fascinated
bro.
by
Go
this
ahead.
shit. So in during the fight itself,
Yep.
is your mind going like 100 miles per hour, or are you like, all right, he's doing this, so I'm gonna counter with this, or I need to get to this position, I need to take his back, like how's your mind operated?
So I go in with the strategy for my fights.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can't really predict everything, and you can't really go. I don't like to go based off of what the other person is doing too much. Yeah, I have to react to what they're doing, but I try and implement my game plan.
Okay.
So knowing my game plan, I know the things to look out for. I know how I'm going to expose myself. And then I also know how I'm going to set that person up to trap them to follow my game plan. So that's really what I focus on. Now, yes, your mind is going 100 miles a minute in a sense, but the goal is to try and keep it as open as possible.
Okay.
And when you do get caught on being too focused in something, that's when things can typically go bad. Um, because you really and part of it has to do with training, right? So the more you train and the more familiar your body gets, is the easier your body can actually react without you having to think too much. So let's say I do try and take somebody down and they end up I end up missing the takedown, right? And let's say now they're trying to pass my guard. Uh, they're trying to pass my guard, and one of the things that I need to do is to shrimp and recompose, and basically square up with them, keep my knees between my chest and their body. The more I practice, is the more my body will be able to naturally just shrimp, swivel over a knee,
Mm-hmm.
a foot, and create that separation. Now, if my body isn't really used to doing that,
Right.
this is where my mind starts going on 100 miles per hour, because now I have to think about what to
You got to
do.
figure it out. All right.
Exactly,
Right.
compared to just doing it and then focusing. All right, cool, I got this position back. Or all right, my body's already doing this, I can move on to the next thing. How can I get
Gotcha.
myself out of this position? Or what do I do next to move on to transition to something that's going to be more beneficial for me? So it really comes down to how well your body is trained. Because I, like, my last competition, I was actually heated because this guy tried to pass my guard,
Mm-hmm.
and I had an opportunity to go half guard, but I kept trying to go close guard because that was the first thing I saw.
Mm.
And that's, I was in my head, I was just thinking, all right, protect myself, get this knee away, get this knee away. When in actuality, I was so focused on that I didn't see the opportunity for me to wrap up his other leg and be in
Do
a
what you got to
uh,
do.
not a better position,
Mm-hmm.
but a position that I know I could have worked from. So
Yeah. Now, injuries.
mhm.
Have you have any? How often are they?
Yeah, it's not super often. I've had a rib injury so far, a couple cuts. Um, the toes are like the first thing that kind of one of those nagging injuries, bro, because you're
Okay.
just constantly putting weird pressure on your toes that
Right.
you're not able
Uh-huh.
to. Um, but my gym is a safe gym. We fight intensely, but no one's like intentionally trying to hurt somebody. So it's not too crazy. It's really just about how safe you are. But opportunities for getting hurt definitely happen more in practice than in the actual fight. In the
Fighting.
actual fight,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, bro. It's just maybe it's the adrenaline and like your body's prepared,
Yeah.
but practice is kind of where it happens. But nothing too crazy, like maybe a little finger sprain or something like that.
Yeah.
But the toes is the most consistent one. And then I've had a crazy rib injury that sucked. But I know people who have like blown their knee out or
Oh,
almost like sprained their MCL. Um, I've seen a guy like rip his toenail all the way back. Like,
get the fuck out.
yeah,
He
bro.
still does
Like,
that shit.
no, you know what's messed up? It was this dude's first day. He came to try because his cousin trains with us, and
Right.
he did the drills, and then his first fight, his
Fucking
whole
toe.
toe, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yes,
Jesus,
you got to
man.
make sure your toenails are low key like cut and stuff like that. So that was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, people deal with different injuries. You do take a couple like knees to the head, elbows to the head. So
That's
I've
what I
had
was gonna
some.
ask next. So like, how is like the is because it's not like it's football where you're constantly slamming into somebody, but How's like the head part? Like, is there head trauma? Like,
Yeah, not too crazy. Again, when you know how to protect yourself and where to like keep your head away from and things like that, you're good. But there are times where it's just like the momentum of somebody swinging their knee around or bringing their knee up, and you're trying to like get past their knee. Sometimes it does collide.
mm,
I think it's funny. I kind of rock with it because I feel like I watch MMA and I always wonder what those hits feel like and how those individuals take like a knee to the head, you feel me,
yeah,
or like
dude.
kick to the face.
Yeah.
So on one end, it's kind of interesting to be like, oh, okay, that's what that feels like. Cool, like
Right.
hate that,
Right.
like keep going. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I do know people who have like low key got hit, came back to practice the next day and was like, damn, I think I might have actually got a
Concussion.
concussion. You know what I
Right.
mean? Um, so yeah, it's just it doesn't happen super often, but it can happen, and
Mm,
you just kind of got to know whether you can keep going or if you need to chill, and that's on you. And
mm,
then there's obviously like guys who come in don't know what they're doing. I would also add just like people who watch jujitsu or don't really train, but like want to do like ankle locks and stuff like that, or heel hooks. That's like it's a little annoying because they're really about like getting you to tap. And if you don't know how to protect yourself and get out of that, then
right.
that can cause some injuries. Or like let's say they go for a heel hook or ankle lock, and then they actually end up knee reaping you. You know what I mean? If you don't know how to deal with the knee reap, you could really injure yourself. Or if they don't know what they're doing and they try and like turn over and like lock it in, you know what I mean? Like that's that thin line of like being
Mm,
safe and getting hurt seriously.
okay. All right. We're gonna change gears again. So, I feel like you do a lot of work with your community. Um, and you said the gym is in Dorchester, right, near your
Yep.
house.
Mm-hmm.
So how I don't know if you can tell because you don't own the gym, but do you think it helps the community a lot or like distract them from other things, or how do you think it benefits?
So I know my sensei. That's his goal. Is he wants to be able to put a lot of youth onto jujitsu and kind of get them out the streets. So he's working towards that. I think, and our gym actually really isn't that expensive compared to others. But just
Mm,
like a lot of other sports, I think there's a couple barriers. Finances being one that stops people getting into it. Two is just like the fact that you're rolling around with a guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of awkward positions in jujitsu where it's like it
oh,
looks
okay, I
crazy
got
from
you.
the outside. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it does. That's just the truth of it is. But once
yeah.
you actually start practicing it, you see the application and why that it is like that and how it's actually advantageous. So that can definitely push people away. So like we have kids who be walking on the street who will literally stop and watch or like open the door. Um, since I've been going there, we've definitely had a lot more BIPOC individuals who have come through and worked out. He does have a good group of kids right now. The teens, we're missing a little bit of the teens, but I know of other gyms that like in Brighton and stuff that have a good group of like teens and stuff like that. So at this moment, at this point, it's not too heavily impacting. I do think there's a really good opportunity and a growth for that, and that's the goal. So hopefully we'll be able to get that done, and I that's something that I also want to see done as well.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. All right, you ready to get into your song?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy CJ, and today I am talking about "Buy You a Drink" by T Pain.
So, buy you a drink, T Pain. Why that song for your memory of skating?
Because I was at an SDA school and I wasn't expecting to hear no rap music when we was out. I'm not gonna hold you. I thought they was gonna play some corny music
You're
when we
like, oh shit.
feel me? Heard some reggae, and then on top of that, it was the first time I ever heard the song. So I think when did "Buy You a Drink" come out? Maybe like oh
Yeah, I
seven, oh
remember. Like
eight.
007. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
around
think
that
it was like
time.
around that time,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
a few years before. And I never heard it before. When it came on, you already know the songs was fire.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
over here. I'm over here. I'm skating in this spot. Chez-Vous is the hood spot, so you know it looks lit. It's dope.
Right.
It's the culture. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm riding around. They're playing music, and this hair comes on this. Let me buy you a drink. All the
Let's
girls
go.
crazy, you feel me? Everyone's singing and shit like that. So like, yo, this song is fire. So I'm out on
So
the dance
dope.
floor. You know, I'm thinking about buying a girl a drink, but I don't got no money.
Right.
So it's slow for me. And yeah, bro, it's just a vibe. I really like the song. The way the lights came down. So I don't know if they still have it. No, I don't actually think it was like a disco ball, but whatever they did with the lights, they turned the lights down even more. The lights
Mhm.
started going crazy, seeing green, blue, purple, red on the wall, all that. Like Chez-Vous just set the vibe, and it was just like, damn, this is dope. Like this is what people do when they come to Chez-Vous, like listen to dope ass music. You feel me? Be around cool ass people and just have a good time. Like
Yeah.
that's something I still love about skating. Is people really be out there just having a good time. It's one of those places where it's like, yeah, everyone here is here to like truly enjoy themselves. You know?
Yeah, and I feel like skating, especially for the black culture, it's such a like. As much as I don't know how to skate, like I'm happy when I see black people skate because it's like a thing for us. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, everybody skates, but it's like we make it like a fucking event. We do all the extra shit. You know what I mean? It's like we make the shit cool, bro. It's like, so yeah.
Nah, you dead ass, bro. You got it right. And yeah, it's so funny because so when COVID hit, Chez-Vous at the time was shut down for like renovations and stuff. So I ended up going to this other spot in Saugus, Roller World. And when you got out there, everybody was out there. So like you said, the event, right? So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, yo, this is lit. Like, is it just because of COVID? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on?
Right.
So Chez-Vous opens back up. We go out there, and I see everybody that was black, that was at this
Everybody
August.
pulling up. Yeah.
You feel me? I'm like,
Yeah.
and that's what it is, bro. It's like, yo,
Yeah.
this is really an event. Like, people are gonna come out, people are gonna have a good time, bro. So it's dope to see that, and it's just dope to kind of be a part of that, you know? Like, even if you don't know how to skate, bro, you can really just come out there,
Right.
learn. You
Just
feel
hang
me?
out,
Like,
learn if you want to. Just it's a vibe, bro. You're right. You're right. And I feel like it's really obviously one thing doesn't represent black culture, but I feel like if we could just look at the history of black culture, especially in America, right?
mhm.
I feel like skating is one of them things. Is like they got that. You know what I mean? It's like they got that. They 100% got that. All right, so T Pain buy you a drink. Are there any other songs around that time? It doesn't remind you of skating, but like, what are the songs that stood out in memory around that time?
I don't think a Millie came out in '08, or maybe Lollipop. Maybe that was in '08
Was
time.
that Lil
Yeah,
Wayne? Yeah.
yeah, I think so. Wayne's tracks. I was a huge Wayne
Yeah, I feel
fan.
like T Pain and Lil Wayne that time it was obviously Lil Wayne was a fucking
Going
Lil Wayne,
crazy, bro.
but like I feel like right, so like
Crazy.
I feel like it went from like from Tupac to maybe like Dr. Dre to West Coast to like Eminem had a thing, and then they had like 50 Cent, and
Yeah, you
then
already know 50's
fucking
my boy.
little like Kanye for a little bit, and then
Hmm.
fucking Lil Wayne came, and it's like all right, everybody move the fuck out the way, like
Sports,
you
bro.
know what I mean? But yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
So I would say Wayne's basically anything Wayne that came out during that time from I feel like dying to a
Mm-hmm.
Millie, Lollipop.
Couldn't
Um
miss.
you couldn't
Couldn't miss.
couldn't, bro.
Yeah.
Um Also, that's when Nipsey started coming out. There was one track with French, Nipsey, Wiz
Dude,
Khalifa. Damn,
you know
I
what's
can't
funny?
remember the name of it.
You know what's funny? You said Nipsey. I
Hmm.
remember. So there's two artists. I remember like when I heard their mixtapes, they weren't like huge, right? But I
Hmm.
remember hearing that the mixtapes like, oh, they gonna be fucking like out of here. It was Nipsey Hussle and J. Cole. That J. Cole, it's not Friday Night Lights. I think it's like a fuck.
The warm up.
The warm up. When I heard
Yep.
the warm up, bro, I'm like, oh yeah, he got it. He
Yep.
got it.
Yep.
But for Nipsey, like there was this song, I think it's called like Bullets Got No Name or something like that. That's the first song I
Yeah.
heard from Nipsey. I'm
Uh
like, yeah. And then I
huh.
looked him up. I'm like, oh, it's Snoop Dogg. He looked just like Snoop Dogg. But yeah,
Yeah, bro. So I can't. I gotta search up that that song, and I'll send it to you so you can take a listen and mention it and however you can in the conversation.
Yeah.
But that was one of the songs too that was dope because it had a bunch of like a variety different artists, different types of artists. You had the West Coast on there, you had Mid Coast with Wiz Khalifa, you had East Coast with French Montana, and there was like one or two other people on there, and that was just one of the biggest songs that we was just going back and forth about as the guys at school, like, nah, this person got it, nah, this person's version, nah, you feel me?
They're really rapping, like, yeah.
You feel me? Yeah. So that was one of the ones that stuck out a lot. I'm a Friday Night Lights, like, I think that's Cole's best. It's a mixtape, but I feel like that should have been an album. That
honestly, the Too Deep for the intro, like
all the way through.
There's no better way to start a piece of work. Like that's it. That's the top. Yep. Like that is it. Yep. That's how you start a project, bro. Like it's insane.
Like, yeah, bro. When I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, Cole is it.
Like, yeah, he's it. But yeah. All right. So I like to end off the episode. Actually, before we get into that, I remember one thing. I gotta ask you, now that you're on the podcast. So back in high school,
yep.
Every fucking time, not every time, that's an exaggeration, but a few times I'm walking in the hallway, I hear people yell your name. Like they'll yell CJ.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like it was for me, but I couldn't prove it, so I was like, ignored it. But it's like it happened so many times. I'm like, it's like some inside joke. Like, what the fuck is going on? But it wasn't like I was offended or some shit. So I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
So I can't say if they were calling you or me, but I've had that before too, where I've heard like CJ, and I'm like, yo, and they're like, no, Sanjay, and I'm like, oh, all right, cool. You know what I mean? That definitely happened, bro. It wasn't just you. And you probably heard a little bit more because your class had the other CJ too. You feel me? So you probably like heard it even more than I noticed it. Because when I probably wasn't really around and he was there, you were probably hearing it too. You feel me? So nah, it was definitely a real thing, bro. And I'd be like, yo, y'all didn't say Sanjay, bro. Y'all said CJ. I'm like, well, yeah, bro. Nah, that was real.
Yo, so for like a good minute, I was like, yo, am I fucking bugging? Like, I legit thought I was hearing shit for a minute. I'm like, all right. But it wasn't some shit where like, people were making fun of it. Like, I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, it was real confusing. You feel me?
Exactly.
Yeah, nah, you're right, bro.
Exactly. All right, so I like to end the episode on a quick game I call On the Spot. So I'm just going to read out 3 different scenarios, and you kind of just off the top of your head name the song that you would play in that scenario. Cool?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so on the spot.
Yeah. All right. Not time, right?
Yeah. All right, ready?
Yep.
All right, first one. You're watching a montage of your life. What's the theme music?
Picture Me Rolling, Nipsey Hussle.
Oh, nice. All right, next one. UFC main event. What song are you walking out to?
Woo! It's a 50 Cent song.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go. I'm probably gonna go like Back Down, maybe. Every time you look at me,
if you look closely,
back down.
I love that.
Coast to coast, east side, west side. Go ahead, my fault.
That's such a bro. That run.
Get Rich or Die Trying, G Unit.
That Massacre. If you listen to the Massacre album, I feel like it's grossly underrated. That album, like from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I think it's his best work as far as like rapping and like different types of rap, like storytelling and like painting pictures. Like this is his best album.
Which one?
The Massacre. That second one.
Oh, the Massacre. Yeah, I feel you because it had the perfect blend. I feel like when certain artists not even certain artists, as an artist, when you get big enough, you really got to appeal to everybody,
and that's what 50 Cent does best. He knows how to sell records, and that's what he chose to do. You know what I mean? So I get it. He
still kept the essence. You feel me? Like you could really run around, like, yeah.
And I feel like that album, because I like Candy Shop, which was like a massive hit. Nobody really listened to the album. They're like, oh, he got Candy Shop, and it was a big song, blah blah blah. But yeah, I get it. All right, last one. Ready?
Yep.
You go back to middle school. You go back to middle school. Party event. What song's playing?
Middle school party event. I mean, outside of the buy you a drink, Middle school. And it's like, my fault. I need a little parameters for this.
No,
I
no, no,
get to
no.
pick the song to play?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Damn, yeah, give me a minute for this. I'm really trying to think.
No, no, it's a time period. So you got it.
Oh, I don't know if I play that.
I don't know.
I'm. It's the one that's coming to my head, so I'm gonna just say it.
Uh-huh.
Young Jock. Do your chain hang low? Do it wobble to the floor? That's the one that came to my head. I thought that shit was a bop. You feel me? Especially in middle
Was it,
school, like
that
I didn't know
was
nothing
Young
about
Jock?
chains, and the video was lit.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
another. You know that I keep mixing. I don't know why, but every time I think of that Young Jock song, you know that fuck. What's his name? I think it's like Gibbs. It's like King Kong, King Kong.
King Kong, yeah.
Yeah, that was my shit, bro. Like fucking love that song. I'm about to bump that shit right after this. But yeah, man. That's it. Thank you so much for coming on. The camera is yours. Anything you want to say before we hop off?
Nah, bro. I just want to say thank you for having me. This was dope. And yeah, can't wait to see this and all the other episodes you're gonna have. I think it's a really dope topic. So keep going, man.
All right, appreciate you, bro. Thanks again.
You already, no doubt.
All right, later.